Hi everybody, my name is Carissa Barker and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be telling you a story time of when my sister fell in love with our Hawaiian tour guide. So I went to Hawaii back in October and I did make a couple videos about it. They will be linked in the description if you want to check those out. Something kind of odd happened while we were there, and so I wanted to share this story with you guys because I think it's kind of funny, and I'll insert some clips here and there as it pertains to the story. So it was our second day in Hawaii and we had decided to go on this guided kayak tour because it was gonna cost the same amount of money to just rent the kayaks and go by ourselves as it was to have the guide and the kayaks and the whole thing. So we figured we might as well have the guide just so we don't get lost and maybe they can tell us some interesting facts or whatever. So we rode down the Walua River for probably was about like an hour on these kayaks. And like when my sister first saw our tour guide, she really didn't think anything of it. She just like was like, okay, he's our tour guide, and like we got on the kayaks and started going, you know, and it wasn't a big deal or anything. But as we were like going, I just kind of mentioned, I was like looking at him and I was like, hey, he kind of looks like your ex-boyfriend. And she was like, oh my gosh, you're right, he kind of does. And so then she couldn't stop thinking about it and like looking at him and like stuff like that. And eventually he kind of started like rowing his kayak really close to ours, and so we just struck up a conversation and started getting to know one another, like my sister and me and him, and we were just like asking him what it's like living in Hawaii and just all sorts of stuff. And just as they got talking, like, then there was a couple times where he would like go up a little ahead of us or whatever behind us to check on like the other people in the group, but he'd always end up coming back to us. But when he was gone, like, she'd just be like, oh my gosh, like he's actually really cool, and like why does he like remind me so much of my ex, and like just, yeah, anyway. Then we parked the kayaks and we started doing this hike up to this secret waterfall thing. It was actually called Secret Falls. He was being really funny along the whole hike, like making funny jokes and like just sharing information with us about Hawaii and about different plants and stuff. And it was like super muddy on this particular hike, and my sister actually like slipped and kind of got covered in mud, but he was like so nice and super helpful. And anyway, then we got to the waterfall and he was like taking pictures of us and like just hanging out. Like there was other people in the group. There was two other like groups of two, and he pretty much spent the entire time with us, like barely even talking to them or acknowledging them. He was just like hanging out with us because, I mean, we were closer to his age and we were just like more interesting. While we were up at the waterfall, we started asking him some questions about like things we should do or whatever, because we wanted to go to this place called Queen's Bath, and from some people we'd heard really great things, like it was like super awesome, but from others we'd heard that it's like really dangerous and that we shouldn't try and go and stuff. And so we were asking him what he thought, and he was like, well, it can be kind of dangerous if you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going, but it is really beautiful and really worth it. So he was like, if you want, I could take you guys. And we were just like, I don't know, I kind of thought it was weird because like we were paying him this time to take us on the guide, but he was like basically offering to be a tour guide for us for free the next day, I guess. I don't know. So that was on a Saturday that we did that, and the next day was Sunday, and he didn't have to work because the kayak tours just, they didn't run on Sundays. And so he was like, yeah, like it's no problem, like I've got tomorrow off, I'd love to take you guys. And so when we were totally done with the tour and everything, he and my sister exchanged phone numbers. And then that night, me and my sister wanted to get sushi, so she asked him if there was like a really good local sushi place. And he told us the place to go, and so that's where we went, and it was phenomenal. The sushi literally was like incredible. But then they were texting like the entire time that we were there, and when we were like finishing up, he was like, hey, I'm like across the street from that place at this kombucha bar. And he was like, you guys should come, in with some of my friends, just come hang out with us. And so we went over there and we're just like hanging out with his friends and stuff. I felt really awkward because they were all like way older than me. I didn't want to drink kombucha anyway. I felt kind of awkward, but she was like just talking and having fun, and I was like, okay, this is weird. But anyway, then the next day we ended up going to pick him up. We had a rental car, and so we picked him up and from his house, and he took us to Queen's Bath. It was really awesome. He was like taking videos and pictures of us for us, and he was like jumping off of cliffs and doing crazy things, and like it was really, really cool. And like then he took us over to this place called Turtle Cove, which I was crazy about because I love turtles. And then like after that was all over, he just like kept wanting to hang out with us, and so we ended up renting snorkels and we went snorkeling, and that was really cool. And I don't know, it was just weird that like we literally just spent like the entire day with him, and we barely even knew this guy. Like we'd literally met him the day before, and then now we were just like hanging out like we were best friends. And it was just, I don't know, kind of odd. But then the next day was Monday, I think. Yeah. And it was actually my sister's birthday that day, and we had booked a zipline tour. And so we went and did the tour, and like again, they'd been like texting like that whole time, like whenever they weren't together. And so we went to the zipline tour, then we went to this like lighthouse thing, and we went out to dinner. So that day I don't think we saw him at all, and he was working as well. But then the next day he actually like asked for work off so that he could hang out with us again, which is just weird to me. Like that he just was like, yeah, I don't want to come in. So like, I don't know. So yeah, then the next day he ended up hanging out with us the entire day. We did a hike. We went to this like rope swing. And so basically after that he spent every day with us for the rest of our trip, and like was asking work off every day just to hang out with us for the rest of our trip. At first I wasn't mad. Like that first day when he took us to Queen's Bath, I wasn't mad at all because it was like free tour guide, kind of cool. And like he knew the area, he knew what was cool and not cool and stuff. But I'd actually done a lot of research for this trip of things I wanted to do and had planned this out pretty detailed. And then when he came into the picture, he kind of just like took over, and we ended up doing a hike that I was not a super big fan of. The hikes that I like are hikes that take me to like a waterfall or that are super like moist, or there's like a river that you follow. I don't know, I really like water type things. And he took us on this like super dry hike, and it was really hot, and I was just like, this is not fun. And it just took us to like a good view, but like we could have seen that view other places, I feel like. So I don't know, a little annoyed, but it was also kind of cool. So I don't know how I feel about it. And then I also felt like a super major third wheel because they were like being all flirty, and I was just like you know. So then on our last day there, our flight was leaving like pretty late at night, but we had to check out of the place we were staying like in the morning. But I really wanted to do this hike, but we were gonna end up getting like probably pretty muddy and like wet because it did take us to a waterfall. And so then she was like, well, I don't want to like be on the plane when we're all like muddy and gross, but I really want to go on this hike. It's our last day, you know. And so he's like, oh yeah, you guys can shower at my place, it's no problem. And so we like went on the hike, and then we went back to his place and we showered, and then we were just like hanging out there, and I ended up falling asleep because I was really tired. And they like went into his room and were making out, and when I woke up I like had no idea where they were, and I was just like, what? And I was like all tired, so I just went back to sleep. But then later like she came out, you know, and I found out that they had been making out, and I was like, this is so awkward. But like what is happening? Like she barely even knows this guy. Like what even is this? And like also we're leaving. He lives in Hawaii, we live in Utah. Like how is there any chance of this working out? And anyway, we ended up like leaving and going home, but then she literally like could not stop talking about how she was going to move to Hawaii and they were going to be together and all this stuff. She literally like was looking at houses that she could buy there, like places she could live. She was like totally figuring out, because she's a cosmetologist who's figuring out how she could get her cosmetology license transferred over to Hawaii, and so she could like do hair there and like already have a job. She like had called a couple salons to see like if they were hiring or how that whole process would work, and like she was dead set on moving to Hawaii and like living there. And like only part of it was because of him, because she liked him. Another huge part of it was just that Hawaii is freaking phenomenal, and it's so gorgeous, such an amazing place to be. There's such a good vibe and like atmosphere there. It's just amazing. So I don't blame her for wanting to live there. It's literally incredible. But and then it just already having like a boyfriend or whatever was kind of like an added perk. So after we'd been home for a little while, like they were still texting all the time, and they even like would FaceTime every once in a while and just like talk, and she was still like serious about moving. But then she decided that she needed to go back to college, and there's a lot more complicated like reasoning behind it and stuff, but she was like, I want to start school, I want to get my like bachelor's degree, and so she decided that that was the path she needed to take and that she could move to Hawaii later, but right now she needed to go back to school. And when she told him that, he got kind of mad because he was like expecting her to move there and be with him and stuff. And so when she told him that, things just kind of stopped. She still wanted to go visit him and have him come visit her and like still kind of try and make this work, or I guess, but he just was like, nah, if you're not living here, like whatever, it's over. And so they stopped talking, but she wasn't really hurt by it or anything because I don't know, but it was just weird. The whole thing was weird that she just like totally had this random like Hawaiian fling, and I was like, why didn't I get that? Like, what the heck, you know? I want a Hawaiian boy, like. So that's basically it for my story, but thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you liked this video, you know what to do, and please subscribe. It doesn't hurt you at all, but it helps me a lot. I do post new videos every Thursday, so you don't want to miss any of those. You can also follow me on my Instagram. It will be on the screen and down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!